Hello guys, let's continue with our journey with the primary school Chinese textbook on the Chinese mainland. In the last episodes, we learned 6 consonants, 6个声母 g, k, h, ji, qi, xi, and did a lot of spelling exercise with these consonants. About the 声母 g, k, h, they should not be so hard for you because they exist in the English language. The g is kind of just like the consonant g as in gold. And k is like the opening consonant of cold, and h is like the opening consonant of hurry. So really no tricky part about this. And one thing I would like to add is that for this picture, for the consonant or the 声母 g, we see a pigeon because a pigeon in Chinese is a 鸽子. And then this pigeon is taking a letter G in its beak. And this letter G is green. I just noticed that it's actually a willow branch. A willow branch in the shape of the letter G. So small children would remember that this letter G is pinyin G because it is held by this pigeon. And in the Chinese culture, or I believe it should be an international or a universal one, that is a willow branch held by a pigeon in its beak is a symbol for peace. And also in the biblical story, when Noah on that ark saw a bird bringing an olive branch, he knew that the flood was going away and there was land again. But in that story, it was an olive branch. Anyway, in Chinese, we would often see a willow branch held by a pigeon. It's a good thing. As I mentioned, these 3 consonants, ji, qi, xi, are perhaps the hardest for English speakers to make because they do not exist in the English language. Like if you want to say the Chinese word for panda, which is 熊猫, you will have to spell the sound of 熊, which is 西一翁熊. It's very hard for English speakers because neither 西 or 一翁 exist in the English language. Spell after me. 西一翁熊. 猫猫熊猫. And also for Ji, it will be very hard for English speakers to say the word for family, which is 家, because it contains this consonant, Ji. Spell after me. 鸡家. 鸡家. And also for Qi, like my given name has this character 群, which is very hard for English speakers to make because it contains this Qi as the 声母. Spell after me. 气源泉. 气源泉. 泉 means a group of. Either it's a flock of birds, or a shoal of fish, or a herd of any animal, or a group of people. You use this same measure word, 泉. 气源泉. Spell after me this phrase for a flock of birds. 一 is a 整体认读音节. A 整体认读音节 literally is a syllable that is recognized and read as one. That is, we don't spell the 声母 一 and the 韵母 一 in the way that we usually spell the sound of a character, that is 一. We don't do that. And you can see why we don't have to do that, because it doesn't do any spelling. Both the consonant and the vowel, the 声母和韵母, their sounds are both 一. And the sound of this character is 一 anyway. So we make this a 整体认读音节, so we don't have to do the spelling. But when we write it, we still write it as the 声母一 plus the 韵母一, and the ending, the pinyin, is yi. Y representing the 声母一 and I representing the 韵母一. But we don't do the spell. 一. And then 气源泉. 气源泉. liǎo鸟. liǎo鸟. 一群鸟. 一群鸟. Okay, since ji, qi, xi are a little bit tricky, so we review that in a little bit of more detail. And then we also learned 2 poems or 2 nursery rhymes. One is 说话, and the other is 在一起. Go back to the previous episode to review these 2 nursery rhymes if you found them very not so familiar anymore. Today we will not review that separately, and we will go over the rest of the consonants. 今天我们来学习剩下的声母。The first three consonants we're going to learn today are these. 这是今天我们要先学习的三个声母。They are, repeat after me, the, 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 the. In these three squares, we saw these three syllables already spelled, that is already with the 声母 and 韵母 put together. 在这三个蓝色的框里，有三个已经拼好的音节。They are all 整体认读音节。Their sounds are basically the same with these three consonants. Repeat after me. The, the, the. For each of these three syllables, we actually have words in Mandarin that sound like this. For example, for the, we have zi in the third tone, zi, which means purple. And then for th, we have zi in the second tone, zi, which means porcelain. And then for th, we have th in the third tone, which means to die, dead, or death. Repeat after me again. The, th, th. And then let's look at this picture. We have this small bear, which is kind of a teacher, and she is teaching these hedgehogs. On the blackboard is the letter Z. Now the letter Z in pinyin is the pinyin the. And maybe it's because the teacher, the bear, is wearing a kind of a purplish overcoat. That's how small children are supposed to associate, perhaps, because purple in Mandarin is zi. Spell after me this word for purple. Zi. 整体认读音节, we don't spell zi, it's just zi. And zi, th. Zi, th. Th means color. Zi, th. Zi, th. And then we have these hedgehogs. Hedgehogs in Mandarin are 刺猬. Spell after me. 刺. 整体认读音节, we don't do 此意刺, it's just 刺. 刺. 五 a 位. 五 a 位. 刺猬. 刺猬. And also these hedgehogs are drawn in the shape of the letter C, because in the pinyin system, the 声母 c is represented by the English letter C. This is to help small children to associate the sound of the 声母 c with the shape of the letter C. And then we have this silkworm on this leaf. A silkworm in Chinese is 蚕. Spell after me. 刺安蚕. 刺安蚕. But then here it is used to represent the 声母 c because it produces silk. And silk in Mandarin is 丝. Repeat after me. 丝. Again, we don't do the spelling. 丝. We can see the silkworm is producing is drawn in the shape of the letter S, because the 声母 c in the pinyin system is represented by the English letter S. Repeat after me this sentence. 蚕, 刺安蚕. 土, 特无土. 丝, 蚕吐丝. It means silkworms produce silk. For these particular three sounds, th, 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 they might also be a little bit tricky because you have to distinguish them from some English consonants. Like the first one, the, it is written as the letter Z, but it is not Z. There's no Z in Mandarin. We don't have this consonant in Chinese. We don't have Z, as in the Z in the word buzz, B-U-Z-Z, buzz. We don't have the sound Z. And when you say this letter Z, you should know that it's the pinyin the, not Z. And its sound the actually exists in the English language, like the opening sound of that. Often the letter combination TH would make this sound, like the opening sound of that, and the opening sound of though. That consonant, the, is the same with this one. The sound is the same. But you should know that in the pinyin system, it is written as the letter Z, but it's not Z, it is the. So the sound of the pinyin the in Mandarin is exactly the same with the sound represented by the English phonetic symbol the. The sound of these two are the same. And then for th, it's a bit tricky because it doesn't exist in the English language. Th. So you don't have to distinguish it from anything, but you will have to learn how to make this sound. And then we have th. It is written as the English letter S, but it is not s. In Mandarin, we don't have s. This sound doesn't exist in Chinese. The s sound doesn't exist in Chinese. When you see this pinyin symbol in the form of the letter S, you should know that it is th. It is not s. Th exists in the English language, like the opening sound of thread and the opening sound of Thanos. The sound in English actually is often also taken by the letter combination th. Th. So the sound represented by this pinyin th is exactly the same with the sound represented by the English phonetic symbol th. These two sound the same. And when you say this, don't make the s sound. There's no s in Mandarin. Then let's do this spelling exercise. Z R da, Z R da, Z E the, Z E the, Z U组, Z U组, Z我左, Z我左. And then the next line with th. Th a他, Th a他, Th e特, Th e 特, Th u 粗, Th u 粗, Th u 窝搓, Th u 窝搓. And then the third line with 声母 s. S 啊撒, S 啊撒, S 恶色, S 恶色, S 误速, S 误速, S 无我所, S 无我所. And then again, in this blue rectangle, we have the 整体认读音节, so we don't do the spelling. Repeat after me. 子, 子, 次, 次, 思, 思. Alright, this part is about the writing of these letters or of these pinyin symbols. We'll skip this part. This section introduces some characters and words with the sounds of these three 声母 in them. Let's first go over these characters. The first one is 字. Repeat after me. 字, 字. It's a 整体认读音节, so we don't do the spelling. A 字 is a character. The next one, repeat after me. 词, 词. Also a 整体认读音节. A 词 means a word. And the next one, repeat after me. 几喻句, 几喻句. Remember in the previous episode, we learned how when the 声母 ji meets the 韵母 yu, the yu will have to lose the two dots when it's written. That's why here it is a 几喻句 instead of 几喻句. This doesn't exist. We don't write this way. A 句 means a sentence. And the next character is 子. It's also a 整体认读音节. Repeat after me. 子, 子. 子 has many meanings, but it is often pronounced in the light tone to make a noun with another character. Like we would make the word 句子 instead of just saying 句 to refer to a sentence. So here on the right we have these words. The first word is 字. As I said at the very beginning of this series, take each Chinese character as one word because it has meaning. Chinese characters are not letters. Some words have only one character, some have two, some have three, some have four, some have even more. So, a character is not a letter, and do not regard it as a syllable either. Although each Chinese character does have one syllable, but don't regard it as a syllable. Just take each character as one word. The first word is 字, and the second one is 词, and third one is 句子. And then on this blackboard we have these characters. Review after me. The first one is 学, 西学学. 学 means to learn or to study. And then 学生, 西学学. 师恩生, 学生. A 学生 is a student. And then the sentence, 我是小学生. Repeat after me. 我是小学生. 我是 is a 整体认读音节. We don't do the spelling. 西熬小. 小 means small or little. 西学学. 师恩生. 我是小学生. I'm a primary school student. Then we have this 读一读 section. 读一读 means reading. Again, another nursery rhyme. And the title is 过桥. Repeat after me. 狗卧过. 七鳌桥. To 过 means to pass or to pass through. And a 桥 is a bridge. So 过桥 means to pass the bridge. Repeat after me this nursery rhyme. 数学题. 一道道. 等号就像一座桥. 做对了. 走过桥. 做错了. 过不了. 想一想. 算一算. 快快乐乐过了桥. Now the first line, this opening word 数学 means math. Repeat after me the spelling. 使物数. 使物数. 西学学. 西学学. 数 means a number or numbers, and 学 means study. So 数学 is the study of numbers, math. And the third character is 题. Repeat after me the spelling. 特疑题. 特疑题. A 题 means a question or an item in a test. 数学题 means a math question. And then 一道道. Repeat after me the spelling. 一. The 奥道. The 奥道. 道 is the measure word for 题. When we say one question, we say 一道题. So 一道道 means 一道道题. You can take it as there are many questions. 我们有一道道数学题. There are many math questions. 一道道. And also you might have noticed the tone of this letter 一, which means one, as in 一二三四. And sometimes it is 一, as in 一道道, or it is never 一, but sometimes it is 一, 一起, 在一起. It's kind of tricky, but you will pick up how to use the right tone as you go along. And then the second line, 等号就像一座桥. The first character is 等. Repeat after me the spelling. 等等. 等. 等 means equal. The second character is 号. Repeat after me the spelling. 和奥号. 和奥号. Here, 号 means symbol, and 等号 is the equals to symbol in math. 等号 is this symbol, equals to. The next character, repeat after me. 急又救. 急又救. And the next one. 喜昂向. 喜昂像。像 means to be like, and 就像 means to be just like. And then 一座桥，足卧座，足卧座。座 is the measure word for a 桥。七鳌桥，七鳌桥，桥 means bridge. 一座桥 means a bridge or one bridge. 等号就像一座桥。The equals to symbol is just like a bridge. And then the third line. The first character is 座. Repeat after me. 足卧座，足卧座。Here, 座 means to solve. The next character, 的位对，的位对。对 here is an adverb. It means correctly. And then 了 used to indicate that something is already done. 做对了 means if you solved it correctly. And then 走过桥，自偶走，自偶走，走 means to walk. 狗卧过，狗卧过，过 means to be through.
走过 means to pass through.
And 桥，走过桥 means to pass through the bridge. If you solve the math problem correctly, it's like you are passing through the bridge. You pass through the bridge. And then the next line, 做错了，过不了。
Again, 做 repeat after me. 足卧做。Here, 做 means to try to solve.
错，足卧错，足卧错，错 means wrong.
And 做错 means to solve it wrongly.
Here, 做错了 means that you solve it wrongly. You did not solve it correctly. 过不了 then you cannot pass the bridge.
Again, 过 repeat after me. 狗卧过，狗卧过。过 means to pass. The next character is 不. Repeat after me the spelling. 不务不，不务不。不 of course means no or not. And then this next character is 了. Repeat after me the spelling. liǎo了，liǎo了。Here, 过不了 means cannot pass. We know this character with the pronunciation 了. Actually, we have that in 做对了 and 做错了. There, 了 is used to indicate that something is already done. But here, it's basically another character. The look is the same, but the pronunciation is 了. And it's often used to indicate that something can be done or cannot be done. 过不了 means you cannot pass the bridge. If you want to say there's too much food, I cannot have them all, you can say 吃的太多了，我吃不了。Or if you want to say there are too many small children, I cannot babysit them all, you can say 孩子太多了，我看不了。So you can see how this character 了 can be used. You have to distinguish between 了 and 了, both the pronunciation and the meaning.
And then the next line, 想一想，算一算。想，西昂想，西昂想。Here, 想 means to think over. And 算一算，算算，算算。算 means to compute or to calculate, to do the math. 想一想，算一算。Think about it, compute some more. And then the last line, 快快乐乐过了桥。Repeat after me the spelling. 可外快，可外快。乐乐，乐乐。快乐 means merriment or happiness. 快快乐乐 is the adverb, happily. 过了桥。So you can see how this nursery rhyme is about. Repeat after me again. 过桥，数学题，一道道，等号就像一座桥。做对了，走过桥。做错了，过不了。想一想， 算一算，快快乐乐过了桥。
And then repeat after me one last time. 数学题一道道，等号就像一座桥。It can be translated into math questions, one item after another. The equals to symbol is just like a bridge. And then the next sentence. 做对了，走过桥；做错了，过不了。If you solve it correctly, you pass the bridge. If you do it wrongly, you cannot pass the bridge. And then the last one. 想一想，算一算，快快乐乐过了桥。Think about it some more, compute some more, and eventually you will be able to pass the bridge happily.
This video is turning out to be too long. Seems that we cannot cover all the consonants today. We will continue next time. See you.